Hello, this is BIOGENE'S and I welcome you to this channel to learn about the concepts of the biology. Now, for the first video of this channel, we'll be talking about the introduction of cell. It is interesting to learn as how the present day cell evolved from smaller components and then become a building block for the larger structure. You will study that molecules which were capable of self-replications and carrying genetic informations were evolved first. This is true. The origin of the concept of cells as a basic unit of life was discovered in 1800. Good microscopes were developed and consequently plants and animals were found to be made up of the small units, later known as cells. Let's look up to definition of cell. Cell is defined as a compartment enclosed by a membrane that consists of several chemical constituents and is capable of propagating itself by divisions. Now let's look up to the evolution of cell. There are two stages in the evolution of the cell, that is chemical evolution and biological evolution. Chemical evolution started with the formation of organic molecules on the earth which had no life until then. We call it as a prebiotic earth. And they slowly developed the ability of producing an exact copy of their own self, which we call as self-replication. And during the course of biological evolution, molecular aggregates organized and formed the cell, which was different from the cell as it exists today. These events were traced by several experimental evidences. Some laboratory experiments from 1953 onwards proved that organic molecules like amino acids, proteins, nucleotides, nucleic acids, lipids, and ATP can be formed in a similar conditions on the earth. Yes, we are talking about the famous experiment, Stanley's Miller experiment. A spherical preform or protoviant have been formed in such a condition. The origin of cell is quite likely that the formation of a boundary membrane would have taken place before the acquisition of genetic information system and metabolic pathways. Let's look up to the figure. Here it is talking about the three domains of life, that is bacteria, archaea and eukaryotes, which led to the establishment of present cell diversity. Moving ahead to prokaryotic structure and diversity. The first organisms which did not have well-defined nucleus called prokaryotes were probably anaerobic and heterotrophic. Here we will describe the structure of two prokaryotes, bacteria and virus. Bacteria have a protective covering called cell wall. Beneath this there is a plasma membrane which encloses protoplasm. In bacteria, DNA molecule and enzymes involved in oxidation of food and found associated with the plasma membrane. Bacteria, though simple in their nature, are the most abundant of life forms on the earth today. Viruses are on the borderline of life between non-living and the living organisms. They have some characteristics of a living organisms as well as non-living organisms. Here you can see the vast diversity of the viruses. Example T4 bacteriophage. It is a specific type of virus which kills bacteria. It has 6 tail fibers and collar whiskers that has been shown in the diagram. Let's understand how prokaryotes evolved to eukaryotes. Prokaryotes are the simple unicellular organisms which do not have a well-defined nucleus, whereas eukaryotes are the complex multicellular organisms with a well-defined nucleus. This can be the main difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. Prokaryotes were originated about 3.5 billion years ago, whereas eukaryotes originated about 1.5 billion years ago. Thus, it appears that eukaryotes evolved later than the prokaryotes. Eukaryotes, like prokaryotes, have the same biochemical pathways for respiration, for both aerobic and anaerobic, and for photosynthesis. Pause video and look at the difference between prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell carefully. The eukaryotes not only attained larger size and complex structures but also developed into multicellular organisms. Earlier, each form of cell which was thought as an autonomous and self-sufficient unit gradually became dependent on each other in larger organisms, leading to the division of labor within organisms. This type of cooperation between cells eventually led to the development of higher forms of life as they exist today. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Next video will be about the ultrastructure of cell.